bees is the destruction of their natural habitats. The growth of cities, deforestation, and the expansion of intensive agriculture have eliminated areas where bees find food and shelter. Forests, flower fields, and even small urban gardens are disappearing, replaced by monoculture plantations or urbanized areas that do not offer the resources necessary for these seeds to survive. Without flowers for nectar and pollen, bees cannot provide themselves with food or feed their larvae. This leads to an increasingly accelerated population decline. Climate change, the climate is against them. Climate change is also drastically altering bees' environments. Rising temperatures, irregular rainfall, and extreme weather events directly impact the availability of flowers and food for these insects. With increasingly high temperatures, some plant species bloom out of season, leaving bees without food during critical periods. Furthermore, excessive heat waves can be fatal to entire colonies. Another serious problem caused by the climate is the increase in bee regions in some areas and their location in other areas where they are not adapted, making their survival even more difficult. Parasites and diseases, the invisible enemy. Bees also face a silent battle against parasites and diseases. One of the most lethal is the Varroa destructor mite, a small parasite that feeds on bees' blood, transmitting viruses and weakening entire colonies. Another major problem is the emergence of fungal and bacterial diseases that attack larvae in adults, often spread through bees' own contact with contaminated flowers. With the excessive use of pesticides and other chemical substances, bees are also losing their natural resistance against these invisible enemies, becoming even more vulnerable. What happens if the bees disappear? If bees continue to disappear at this rate, the consequences for humanity will be catastrophic. Without pollination, many agricultural crops will be severely affected, resulting in a drastic drop in food production. Fruits, vegetables, oilseeds, and even coffee are among the crops that depend on bees. Without them, these products will become scarce and extremely expensive. Furthermore, the disturbance of bee society will directly affect biodiversity, harming the lives of other insects, animals, and even the maintenance of forests and natural ecosystems. What can we do to protect bees? Despite the worrying scenario, there is still hope. Small actions can make a big difference in preserving bees and, consequently, in the planet's food security. Avoid using pesticides in gardens and crops. Plant native flowers and trees that provide food for bees. Support organic and sustainable agriculture. Build small shelters for solitary bees. Spread information about the importance of bees. Each of us can make a difference. Protecting bees means ensuring a future with food, biodiversity, and environmental balance. The question is, are we willing to act before it is too late? How can we save bees? Practical solutions. Bees are at risk, but there is still hope. If each of us does our part, we can reverse this scenario and guarantee the survival of these pollinators that are so important for the balance of nature and food production. But what can we do, in practice, to help? In this chapter, we will explore some of the most effective actions to protect bees and ensure they continue to play their essential role in the ecosystem. Avoid the use of pesticides and chemicals. Pesticides, especially neonicotinoid, are one of the biggest villains when we talk about the extinction of bees. Even small amounts of these products can affect the memory, orientation, and health of pollinators. If you have a garden, a yard, or even some potted plants, opt for natural control methods. Some alternative options include: use garlic, pepper, and neutral soap as natural repellents. Introduce ladybugs and praying mantises, which are natural predictors of predictions. Make crop selections to avoid insect infestations. If you must use pesticides, choose organic products and only apply them in the late afternoon or evening, when the bees have returned to the hives. Plant flowers and trees that feed bees. Bees need flowers to feed, and a lack of floral diversity is harming their populations. To help them, one of the simplest and most practical ways is to cultivate plants rich in nectar and pollen. If you have space, consider plant species such as lavender, sunflower, basil, rosemary, clover, hibiscus. In addition to feeding the bees, these plants bring beauty and perfume to the environment. Even in apartments, it is possible to make a difference by creating small gardens on balconies and windows. Build solitary bee shelters. Not all bees live in hives. Some species, such as solitary bees, make their nests in hollow logs, holes in the ground, and other natural cavities. To help these bees, you can build a bee hotel using simple materials like perforated pieces of wood, bamboo, and bricks with holes in them. Just leave them in a place protected from rain and wind, and you'll soon see bees using the space to breed. These small shelters are especially important in urban areas, where solitary bees have difficulty finding safe places to nest. 4. Support organic and sustainable agriculture. The current model of intensive agriculture has been one of the biggest threats to bees, due to the use of pesticides and the destruction of natural habitats. If possible, choose to buy organic foods and support farmers who use sustainable techniques. This way, you contribute to the preservation of pollinators and encourage agricultural practices that respect the environment. Another simple action is to prefer products from small local beekeepers, who raise bees responsibly and without exploiting the hives aggressively. Educate others about the importance of bees. Many people are still unaware of the importance of bees and the threats they face. Spreading knowledge is one of the most powerful ways to change this reality. You can help by sharing information on social networks, talking to friends and family, and even supporting environmental education projects. If you have children or live with children, teach them from an early age about the importance of bees and how to protect them. New generations can grow up with a more ecological mindset and committed to protecting nature. 6. Pressure governments and companies for protection policies. In addition to individual actions, large-scale changes are permitted to ensure the protection of bees. These include stricter laws against the use of contract pesticides, incentives for sustainable agriculture, and the creation of protected areas for pollinators. You can contribute by signing petitions, supporting NGOs that work for environmental preservation, and demanding companies to adopt more responsible practices. The future of bees, and our own food security, depends on effective public policies and the commitment of society as a whole. Small actions, big impacts. Saving bees is not an impossible task. Small individual actions, when added together, can have a big impact on preserving these pollinating abilities. Whether it's planting flowers, avoiding pesticides, educating others, or championing change, each of us can make a difference. The fate of bees, and the planet, is in our hands. The question remains, what are you going to do today to help? Bees are more than just insects flying from flower to flower. They are guardians of life, responsible for pollinating much of the food that reaches our table. Without them, we will face an uncertain future, with fewer fruits, fewer vegetables, and an unbalanced ecosystem. But despite the challenges, there is still hope. We have seen throughout this documentary that the threats to bees are great, but that there are also practical and accessible solutions. Each of us can do something to observe them. Now that you know the importance of bees and how they are being threatened, what are you going to do about it? You can start today. Plant flowers, avoid pesticides, support sustainable producers, and spread the message. Small actions, when multiplied, can save millions of bees. And if you want to delve even deeper into this topic, learn new ways to help and become part of the bee protection movement, subscribe to the channel and activate the bell so you don't miss the next content. Together, we can ensure that bees continue their essential work, and that future generations inherit a world rich in biodiversity, cores, and flavors. The future of bees depends on us.